Here are my top 3 reads of 2024. Coming in at number 3 is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals is set in what feels like a 1900s war-torn England, but the war that wages is that of an alternate history between two gods, Dacre and Enver. It follows the story of two wannabe journalists who are connected by enchanted typewriters. Roman Kit, who is highborn and betrothed unwillingly to a woman of his station, and Iris Winnow, a lowborn girl whose brother goes off to war and whose mother is subsequently lost to an alcohol addiction. Roman and Iris are in a competition against one another to win the role of columnist at a prestigious paper. Did you hear that? 2 people joined by magical typewriters. What a premise to start with. And it was well executed too. I particularly appreciated that this story took place with the backdrop of a lookalike World War II Britain, but the war that wages is that between 2 powerful gods. This story intrigued me, but it did drag a little. Coming in at number 2 is The False Prince by Jennifer A. Nielsen. To unify a divided kingdom, Connor, a nobleman of the court, devises a cunning plan to find an impersonator of the king's long-lost son and install him as a puppet prince. 4 orphans are recruited to compete for this role, including a defiant boy named Sage. The False Prince surprised me. I feel silly saying that it took me a little long to cotton on to what was really going on, perhaps longer than others, but that was what actually made the story all the more enjoyable. When things finally made sense, they really made sense, and I didn't mind all that I had to read to get through to that point. Yes, Sage was arrogant and annoying, but I had a sneaking suspicion that it was merited in some way, and I was pleased to find out that I was right. Now, my favourite read this year, by a long shot, was Sabriel by Garth Nix. Sent to a boarding school in Excelsior as a young child, Sabriel has had little experience with the random power of free magic or the dead, who refuse to stay dead in the Old Kingdom. But during her final semester, her father, the Abhorsen, goes missing, and Sabriel knows she must enter the Old Kingdom to find him. When I reached the end of this book and put it down, I felt elated, at peace with the world once more. I had been reading so many crappy books with high hopes and promises that turned out to be big letdowns. That Sabriel was a breath of fresh air. I actually went into it expecting very little, and it took a while for me to settle into the rhythm of this story, but once I stopped holding my breath, waiting for the author to ruin everything, I found myself thoroughly enjoying it. The story doesn't get bogged down in emotions and feelings and romance, and yet it still treats all 3 of these things with respect. Sabriel is fierce, not to be reckoned with, capable of great things, and yet not infallible, not invincible, and certainly not perfect. And the stakes, they keep on escalating in the best possible way. This story is witty and clever, but there's more to it than that. This book has that something special that isn't easily defined. So that's it. That's my top 3 reads for 2024.